exquisite terror. It's liberating and delightful to know that I am not alone in Fantasyland. This is the most extraordinary collection of people I've ever seen. And you're all completely authentic and immersed in your realities, which is exactly what an actor does. So I'm with you every inch and step of the way. I want to make sure that my ladies are here. Connie Bell, are you there? And Carol LaPlante? Okay, that's my web mistress. She's divine. Let's give her a hand. She's divine. She doesn't like that. Very shy. I'm delighted to be here. I had a little bit of an upset yesterday. Mechanical problems and so forth. That's what they always say when they don't have the plane. But I made it. It's been a sort of a very unusual 2 weeks for me, to be honest. A lot of people have died. Foremost among them, my great friend, Senator Ted Kennedy. And with him goes probably the greatest statesman of our time. And I believe that this is the end of Camelot as we knew it, and certainly the end of the Great Lion. So my heart is full, albeit slightly broken. And we proceed in life and we persevere. And may the next great diplomat come forward, right? Yes. Now, I can do questions or I can talk about what it was like to be Captain Janeway. And I can tell you that my decade, as I was saying to Connie in the room earlier, that decade of my life, which was 7, and I really count them, 7.5 years of Voyager, and 3 years of doing a one-woman show on the road, marked for me the hardest work of my life. I doubt that I will ever surpass in depth, magnitude, or sheer effort the work that I put in those 10 years. And certainly Janeway, because what I'm sure that you understand so well is, quite aside from being was I the third captain or the fourth? Well, you're counting DS9. Oh no, but it was a space station, ship flies. I'm not going to get into that. But I was the first girl, right? And so, you have to understand, being the first girl, what attendant in that duty was this great sense of privilege, of terror, of a new frontier, which I know is the mantra of Star Trek anyway. But you try it out. You try to go on that bridge that first day, having known that the wonderful, divine Jean-Pierre Bugeaud had abandoned ship in 24 hours. Because as she said to the producers, I don't know what you're talking about, this is impossible. We can work this hard, this 18 hours, engage. How about au revoir? And off she went, leaving it open for me, and I walked in thinking, this is going to be great. It's going to be a cinch. Me and a lot of men, just the way I've always liked it, right? Guess again. They handed me 30 pages of what was absolute Greek. No, Greek is easier. Chinese characters were on this page. That's called technobabble. And I had to not only learn it, but I had to assimilate and own. And I had 2 days to do it. Impossible. Resistance is futile. No. I only say that under certain circumstances. This is going to be a bad day and a bad crowd, and I'm in one of those moods. No, you don't want to get me naughty. No. It never ends. But I did, over time in the first season, I think, when I finally threw away that sort of metal bra corset that they had me in, the 83rd hairdo that I told them to forget, right? And I went to Rick Berman, whom I adore. And I said, do you really think your audience is stupid? These are trekkers, the smartest audience in the world. They know that you're fooling around with me too much because you're nervous about me being abroad. Why don't you let them worry about that? And they'll figure out whether I can lead or not if you leave me to my own devices. So he looked at me, you know, they were shaking in their boots. What do you mean? We're not going to fool around with her hair. We're not going to fool around with her bosom. We're going to do it. And they let me alone. And within 2 seasons, indeed, the entire demographic had shifted and broadened and deepened. So you see, the audience always knows best. And you are the greatest audience in the world. The greatest, the most loyal, and without question, the most intelligent. And I've learned that because if you love Star Trek and you love science fiction, you love science. If you love science, you are above the norm. It is the grasp of an ideal. It is the exercise of a component of the imagination that only Einstein, Feynman, only those guys understood. It is a different way of thinking, and it is an exalted way of thinking. So I knew who I was playing to, and I felt that I should have to really earn my stripes the right way. So I gave what I did over 7 years. I think I gave the most that I could give you, the best that I could give you. Certainly, I tried. I was raising, thank you. I had 2 little devils, sons at home. And I was trying to be a mother at the same time. And I learned, especially I will say this to the ladies. I learned, ladies, you cannot do both beautifully. You can just forgive yourself and do what you're doing in the moment. That's the only way to live it. Because you cannot be 24 hours present to the child and 24 hours present to the great job, to the job of your dreams, to the passion of your soul. You cannot be a wonderful and remarkable human being and a great leader on a soundstage 18 hours a day in equal measure at all times. So all you can be is completely present to the very moment that you are in. So it was diabolical, but it was heaven. And I learned humanity above all things. And so I hope, if nothing else, I gave you in Janeway a deep sense of humanity. That she could really reach out to all species, to all genders, to all creeds, to all classes, and embrace and forgive. Because she understood her own fractured nature, and she understood her longing to love and to understand. So that's what I tried to do. Did you get any of that? Good. I knew that it was going to be tougher than hell as a woman to try to be, Winston Churchill. I thought about it for a minute. I thought, what fun. I'll weigh 500 pounds and smoke cigars. And then I thought, no, I'll just have to find my leadership qualities within my own humanity. And so that's what I did. I had the time of my life. Sometimes I went under, but not often. I fell in love with those guys and those girls. Some, slightly more than others. Garrett, are you in the room? Loved those guys on the bridge, late at night. You find out who your friends are. And you find out a lot over 7 years. You find out a lot more than you really need to know. Bob Picardo, the best man who ever lived, the most consummate actor. And the best friend, never let me down, not once. On the final day, when everybody had been released a week earlier, or perhaps even 2 weeks earlier, I was kept for things they wanted to shoot, leftover stuff, for a week or 2. Shooting every day, in and out, alone on the soundstage, alone in my captain's chair. Finally, at the end of the week, it was cut, print, thank you, Kate, that's the end of Star Trek Voyager. And they came over, the crew, the real crew, with their thing, and started to unscrew the screws of the chair. Take the console off, back. I was still on the bridge. I said, wait. And I saw, silhouetted in the doorway, the figure of someone I had come to love so much. And it was Bob Picardo. And he stood there, he just put his arms out and he said, come on, Captain, let me buy you a drink. So that's how I wrapped it up on that soundstage with that great guy.